This call is now being
Global
recorded.
Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Joe Perez.
un preso recluido en de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Telling.
Hello.
Hello, yeah.
Hey, good morning, Joe. How you been?
Hey, good morning. I've been good, man. I've been good. Yeah, I've been good. I've just been waiting and chilling and hanging out, you know.
That's right. You know, I definitely, I've been looking forward to, jumping on a call with you because your journeys are definitely you paint a very vivid picture. So I know I enjoy it, and I know a lot of our listeners or our audience is definitely enjoying it. So I can't wait for this next for the next journey that you're gonna take us down.
Thank you for that, because it's the last time they called me to CTC, so I want to apologize to the listeners, to the viewers, to the audience, right? CTC is like it's like a central house. It's like the little hospital I told you guys about that every prison has one. So they called me and I went to that, and I felt so bad because the little time felt like barely 20 minutes, and I felt like it was a terrible job. So we're gonna resume with that, you know.
Yeah, I remember them. I could hear some type of a calling over the loudspeaker. I couldn't make it out, but obviously, you heard that it was them, calling for you. And before you go ahead and start, I definitely want to go ahead and give a shout out to our listeners. I'm gonna go ahead and start off with ICEMAN. He's already in here. Already wished us a good morning and and thanking us for what we're doing. So really appreciate him recognizing it, and then there's others. There's plenty of other people that are that come in day after day, or even if they're not able to catch the lives, they'll jump on once the lives are done. And some of those people are like we have Biddy K from the UK. We got Manny C. We got Amy. And let me see who else. Lifestyles Chronicles, Fish Layer SoCal, and Angel the 805, and there's a bunch of other ones. So if you remember any of their names, you want to drop it in there. That highly be appreciated.
Yeah. I wanna say a big good morning to Iceman, man. It's a pleasure to have you here, like always, And Lifestyle Chronicles, Eastwood, Righteous Monkey, Tony Yayo, Fish Slayer, SoCal. Like the names are starting to stick, man. Amy, thank you for all the comments you put. Little by little, I'm starting to read stuff. Marlene, I read a comment. You in here for the love, or the love stories, or the relationship. We'll get into that later. A Felipe Angel, too vivid with the Yoda, man. Cool little symbol. Sykester, Gyro, young Gyro, yeah. Those are the names I remember, man. And those are the people I want to say good morning to. Hope your guys' team wins, if your team is still in there, and hope you have a great Sunday,
That's right. And I also can, when you started reading off those names, I definitely, forgot about Richard in Colorado. So, I know he's in here, day after day. So I also want to, want to go ahead and recognize that. And also Mad Max 408 and M-Star Media, out from California. So, definitely appreciate the support. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand over the microphone to you, and then you go ahead and do your thing.
Okay. So last time I'll recap a little bit, right? I was in New Delano. I'm barely coming to New Delano from Salinas. Now, I was hot all in Tehachapi. I was lucky to escape, right? So in Salinas, I meet my wife, and like things start changing for me. So when I go to New Delano, in my mindset, I'm like, have a new start. Like get away from this. Get away from everything you've been doing. That's the mindset, right? Go invisible, because these FBI's in here, they want to take you to the queue, Guantanamo. They want to lock you up forever. So I'm trying to disappear for them. I'm trying to have a new leaf on life, and I'm just trying to get away from everything. Get away from my usual activities in here. So I go to New Delano, and it's opening up. It's barely open, right? And like 2 months into it, I jumped to a program that was the first program on a 180. It was called the SAP. And I go in there, and I have a buddy from my Tehachapi days who's in charge right there. There's this little kid from Compton. I'm gonna call him the Compton baby. They're ready to whack this guy, and whack is like stab him off the yard, you know. And I see this guy's little. He's like 20 years old. You know, I just picture me when I'm younger when I see him. So I tell my buddy like, hey, like don't be so harsh on him, you know. And he's like, no, you don't even know. You're just getting here. This fool's been messing up. He got all this, and he's been flying all over the radar. Like everybody has a spotlight on him. So I tell my buddy, give me him, and if something goes wrong, I'll stab him. You won't even have to find a stabber. Just give me him, and let me save him, you know? And my buddy don't want to do that because he's like, I don't want you to leave. I want to spend time with you, fool. You're a good homie. I want to chill with you. And I'm confident in my abilities at this point in my life in prison. I'm very confident. I can iron over everything where everybody wins. So the little guy don't even know I'm doing this for him at the time. And my friend from Tehachapi, he's like, all right, you want him? You really want him? Go ahead. He's yours. But the moment he messes up again, you know, you already said it. And I'm like, yeah, I got you. And I'll double back on that because this is really a twisted mindset. Like I'm trying to help this guy, and at the same time I'm volunteering to stab him if he messes up in the future. So I'll double back on that as we get there. But this guy had put himself in a situation. I got himself out of that situation with the blacks, and everything was squashed. You know, I said that last time. What I did, I got him, and I got the black guy, and I went to the cell, and I told my little Compton baby, I told him, I'm a lie, don't believe that. But I didn't tell him what I was going to say. So when I said it, it really scared him. Like he really thought that was true. And the black guy, he believed it. So he was like, hey, I don't want this Compton baby hurt. Like, it's not even nothing. It's only 400. So everybody walks away a winner.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
The black guy's content on not getting paid the 400. And at the same time, I reminded him that the guy that really owed you the money, he got stabbed off the yard. That's your money. That he paid that with blood. So this new thing, if you guys continue this, you know, little Compton baby, you it's going to be bad for you. And he goes to visit. And then all the other guys that didn't know, because keep in mind, I'm not playing around right here. All the guys that were in charge of that location, they were tripping out on me, and they were like, what happened? What happened? I'm like, nothing happened. It took care, everything solved. But this is like a covert mission right here. Like, things don't usually happen like that, you know? Usually they're always involved, and they would have handled that situation. But because I knew my buddy from Tehachapi, because of all the things, you know, they kind of, he just let me do it. He knew I was better fit for this situation than them. And everything's fine. Now I want to fly to 2 years in the future. This little Compton baby got busted at 15 years old, and he was a good baseball player in like high school, all that. He had USC scouts going to watch him. Like, he was a good dude, and he had a life ahead of him. But he ended up in prison. Now, 2 years in the future, he's gonna go home. I'm talking about in months. It's like 3 months to the house. He's like 3 months to the house. And keep in mind, in Tehachapi, people don't parole. In Salinas, people really never parole. In New Delano, we got like a shuffled up. So we got a bunch of people that are going home. He happens to be one of them. So I'm not present at this conversation, but a conversation happens with my Compton baby and the guy's in charge, and they're different people at this time. And they asked him to go on a mission, and he says yes. You know, he says yes without thinking about it, right? Like, a lot of us are impulsive. A lot of us will do things without thinking of the consequences. So that's what my little Compton baby does. He says yes. I find out about this because, remember, I'm working at the SAP, so I'm gone a lot of times at work. I come back to the yard, I find out about this, and now I'm cussing him out. Like, what are you doing, stupid? You're going home. And he's like, I know, I didn't think of it when I said yes. And I'm like, man, fool. And now he put himself in a position to stab somebody. He's 3 months to the house. And all I got is bad words for this guy right now. I'm like, you're supposed to go home, this and that. And now he feels it too. He's like, I messed up, man. I messed up. So I go and I talk to the new guys that are in charge. And I'm like, hey, like you guys jammed this fool up. You guys asked Baby Compton right here to do that, right? Now this guy goes home and they're like, well, we didn't know that. Well, that's their bad. They should have did their homework. But at the time, they're telling me like, we didn't know that he was going home at the time that they asked him. So then I jump in there and I'm like, look it, fool. I got life. I'm going to do this stabbing. And you're going to cut him loose. Like, he is not going to go on this mission. It is what it is, you know? And they debate this for like a day or two. And then they come back and they tell me like, hey, you know, we admire that you try to jump in for him and try to take this off of him. But the facts are the facts. He gave his word that he would do that. So, like, we're going to hold him to that. He's going to do it. He has to fulfill that obligation. And you could go with him if you want, but we're not letting him get out of it. And in my mind, I'm like, fuck, man. Like I'm trying to help this guy out. And at this point in time, I think I did everything I could do to help him out. Like I tried to go for him, but they didn't let that happen. And I get it when they say he opened his mouth already. I understand that. As a man, like you view things, and keep in mind, I'm living a lifestyle that's not good right here. So back then, when I would think of a man, I would be like, well, if you say something, you do it. You know, I'm with them on that at that point in time. And I'm just like, man, how do I help out my little buddy from? I don't think he's gonna get life in here. I don't think no one thinks he's gonna get life in here because they don't pick up cases like that in here. But I do think they're gonna hit him with a 4-year deal, and he's gonna take that, and he's not gonna go home for another 4 years. And if you're doing time, you just stretch out time, and it's like you don't know when at that point, because you could pick up another 4 years. Like that's always a concern. That's always a worry on anyone's mind that's going home. So I tell my little Compton baby, I'm like, look, fool, we're not gonna let you get busted. Like, you're going home. You're gonna go home. And he's stressing out. Now he's in a panic, boy. This little kid is about 22 years old at this time. Now he's thinking of his mom. Now he's thinking of his sisters, and they take care of him. And not everyone has that in prison. So now he's stressed out, full bloom. And I don't even know how I'm gonna help him. Like, I don't even know at this point. But I'm just like, look, fool, just know you're not going to get caught. And he's like, how? And I'm like, I don't know yet, fool. I don't know. But just know I'm not going to let you get caught. And finally, I come up with a plan. And in my little mind, I'm like, okay, now this next part, like when you have power, when you're in a position, you could save people. That part's like common. When I saved them the first time, I was rolling up with no power, right? I'm just rolling up off of friendships, my history, my past. I saved him. This is going to be the second time I save him. The second time, I have never heard another story like this in prison, right? In all these years, I have never heard anything like it. So I tell my little buddy the plan, and he's still stressed out.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
He has absolutely no faith in the plan. Zero. He's like, I'm going to get caught. I'm like, you're not going to get caught. So remember, we go to SAP. So I tell him, you know, this is when we're going to plan it. Like, don't do it when I'm not there. Don't do it. You have to wait until I'm coming back from SAP. And he's like, okay, and I tell him the plan. Now, he don't think it's going to work. And I think it's going to work 100%. And I told his cellie, and his cellie's going to go with him, not to do it, but just to, like, be close to him. And the day of comes. And it's the day of. And then I see him, and I see this is the multiple people involved, right? So there's a big guy, big boy.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
Okay, I'm just going to call back right now because I'm going to get to a good part right now. So I'll hit right back, James.
All right, perfect. Hey, thank you. Really, really appreciate it. All right, so he's going to be calling us back shortly in no time, and he'll go ahead and continue down his journey. And right now, while he's while he's going down his journey, I'm just typing up names right now. I'm setting up a roll call for everybody that that's always jumping in day after day, showing support. I'm gonna go ahead and add that to the description. So it's gonna be in no particular order. I'm just going through my screenshots of some of the chats here, and then I'm just typing them as I go. So if you want to go ahead and check out the description of the video, I'm gonna go ahead and start adding them on all the future videos.
This call is now being recorded.
Global Link. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Joe Perez.
un preso recluido de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Link.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, and before you continue right now, I want to go ahead and give LBCK15 a shout out. He just dropped in right now, and he says that he's -7 degrees out in Wisconsin, so it's definitely cold out there. You better start burning the leña, start burning the wood.
Yeah. He's gonna get hot as soon as this game come on, cause I'm just playing with you, man. Much love to you. I wish you luck, bro. Yeah.
All right, it's all yours.
Yeah, James. Okay. So I'm coming back from the SAP, and what that means is I gotta go through a concrete wall with a little door that slides open. It's a metal door. So when I cut through that metal door, now I'm looking across the yard. I'm looking because the yard's out. It's packed. It's like 12 o'clock, so to speak, right? It might be 12 o'clock. It might be 11 o'clock, somewhere right there. So I come back, and I'm looking across the yard, and I see them. And this is the multiple team operation, right? So it's like 3 of them. And I see them, and I see the baby Compton's looking for me. And we make eye contact, and now he knows to wait, follow the instruction, wait for me to go by the cops. And as I'm walking to the cops, nobody knows this stabbing is going to happen, right? So I'm walking by the cops, and I'm grabbing all the homies I know, and I'm like, hey, fool, do me a favor. And they're like, what's up? And I'm like, look, right now I'm going to start bugging for our packages. And there's another homie like, oh, they said package. I'm like, I didn't ask all that, dog. I'm asking for a favor. Do me the favor. When I start complaining about these packages, I need you guys to start complaining about packages. If someone gets quiet, I need somebody else to jump in and say, hey, what's up with our canteen? What's up with this? What's up with that? Let's just be on them. And they're like, huh? And I'm like, fool, I need you.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Because there's no time. I'm not trying to tell them a stabbing's going to happen, because then they're going to be looking. Like, I just need you to help me right now. Be with me right now. So I'm telling them, and then they're confused, but everyone's like, okay, fool, I got you. And I'm like, okay, fool, like, when someone shuts up, because I don't want them to see me talking only, like, it has to be a group. Like, we have to be not attacking them physically, but verbally, like, what's up? Like, get them off guard so they start looking at us. And I don't tell them that, but that's my plan. So we go over there, and now all these homies I walked up with, there's probably like 20 of us. And they're all looking at me, and I'm like, hey, Theo, what's up with the packages? And he's like, oh, they're going to do them this, that. And I'm like, hey, this is not our character. This is not how I act on the line. So I'm like, hey, that's bullshit. Like, da-da-da-da. And he's like, that's bullshit. What do you mean? And I'm like, da-da-da-da-da. And then another homie jumps in, like, what's up with this? Da-da-da. And I'm looking at the other homie, and I'm giving him the eyes, like, you're next, fool. Like, keep talking. And so we're all talking, and we're all complaining. And the cops are like, just go in. And I'm like, no, we ain't going in for nothing. Like, I want answers. I want answers right now. Well, that was the plan for Baby Compton to do his thing, because we're keeping the cops distracted. Now, it's probably like 8 cops right there. And they're all looking at us, arguing over these packages, these canteens. And the homies that walked in ahead of us, one of them's a little Watts baby, and like Watts, South Central, Compton, homies are homies all the way across. But that little Watts baby, he seen us with the cops, and he ran out like whoop, because he thinks we're gonna go up. He in his head, he's thinking, oh, it's gonna be all right with the cops. I'm not gonna miss out on this. I'm running out. So he runs out, and like 2 or 3 more heads run out, and they shut the door because now the cop in the tower is getting nervous. So now it's turning into a thing, and all this time I'm not looking back at Baby Compton. I'm just right there in the full argument, and they're like, "Hey man, take it in, back up, da 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 da," and then they start backing up against the wall because they think we're gonna get off on them. And when they do that, we're still lollygagging about this and that. And in my mind, I'm like, man, these fools have better did that already because we gave them hell of time already. And one cop whispers to the other cop, and then they just start looking at the yard. And when they're looking at the yard, I'm like, fuck, these fools know something's up. And we're still complaining, and then someone sees something, and yard down. The alarm goes off. Get the fuck down. You know what I mean? So we get down, and they're all walking over there because where the incident was at, nobody's on this guy no more. He's laid out like if he's in a coffin. What happened to him was the big guy, he shook his hand, and he just grabbed him. And this is the big guy against a little guy. So the 6'2" against like a 5'5" homie, he just shook his hand, he pulled him, and with the other hand, he uppercutted him. So right there, he knocked him out. While in the knockout, he kind of like lifted his body up in the air, and he was like kind of like laying on the bed in the air and just fell on the floor. And when that happened, the homies got on him and did what they had to do to fulfill their obligation. And then everybody got away. All of them got away. Everybody. They got that guy out of there. He was stabbed up, and nobody got caught, right? And then after that, Baby Compton was like, dang, fool, like you did it. Like he was tripping out, and the Sally was tripping out, and I was telling the Sally, because the Sally was older like me, he had been around, and I was like, you see, that's loyalty, fool, that's love. Like, how many fools have you seen do that for anybody else? Like, try their hardest so that they don't get caught, because usually these guys always get caught, but because he was going home in 2 months, because I thought that was wrong, because of a lot of things, I tried my hardest so he wouldn't get caught, so he could go home to his family, right? Now, this is all wrong behavior in general. The poor dude got stabbed, and this is continuing a lifestyle of violence, right? But at that moment in time, these are correct beliefs in my mind, right? He messed up, he got to go, he got to this and that. Even now, looking back, I don't regret helping the Compton baby, right? But I have learned lessons off it, like this, right? My loyalty was to all of my friends. Like, no matter what stage I was in life, free on the streets, like, loyalty was big to me. And my loyalty was extreme. Like, if they messed with you, they messed with me. Like, I'm down for you. We can do whatever you want to do. Just know I'm like your twin brother. I'm right here for you to the end, right? Now, looking back, that kind of loyalty, for me personally, it harmed me a lot, right? Like, it got me in bad situations and all that. But what I want to say is that kind of loyalty should be reserved. Like, if you have a daughter, that's the kind of loyalty you're supposed to give to her, And I'm not saying I wouldn't, but I'm saying instead of only giving it to her, or a son, or a father, or a mother, or a brother, or your cousin that's more like a best friend, right? Instead of reserving that loyalty for only those individuals, I used to give my loyalty to like everybody, basically. It's like, if I liked you and we were cool, you had that. You had that coming from me. And I felt I had that coming from you. Now, if I felt I didn't have that coming from you, then that's when I will be like, well, I ain't hanging around him, because heck no, I don't want people around me like that. You ain't built like that to hang around me, in other words, And that was a word belief system, and that was those are flaws within myself. But I've only realized them because of the journey I took, And the Compton baby, he went home, he made it out, and people, everyone says they'll keep in touch, right? Everyone says they'll keep in touch, and everyone's like, yeah, fool, and you trade hookups in prison, like you're doing life, and the people that do go home, they all tell you like, hey, I'm gonna keep in touch, da da da. Well, up until that point, nobody kept in touch, But later on, I'll get a cell phone in here, and guess what? Me and Baby Compton, we got in touch, and he moved out to Vegas, and he was doing the family thing. He had a kid, he had a wife, and I was like, that's good for you. You escaped Cali, and that's good, man. I'm proud of you, And he was still trying to help me out when he was out there. And I appreciate all that help he was trying to give me. I never took any offers, right, because I didn't need them. But it didn't take away from the fact that he was like, hey, fool, I found this over here, and I did this over here, and I could do this. And I was like, don't worry about none of that, bro. Just having you as a friend means more to me than all of that. All of that goes on 24/7 in prison no matter what. We don't need to get you to do none of that, for me. You just be a friend, and you just live a good life out there, and that'll mean more to me than anything. You just never come back to prison, And that was the story of the Compton baby in New Delano. And there's things I didn't touch upon, like the SAT program, right? When that SAT program started, the prison was not ready for it, right? Like in 2006, the prison system was not ready for rehabilitation. So when we got these nice people, Civigenics SAP program in New Delano, we got them coming off the streets. These are regular women, their moms, their sisters, their daughters, right? And even the gentlemen that work, the few gentlemen that used to work right there, they're regular people. But when they would come into the prison in 2006, remember, I had a job right there. So sometimes I would, me and my coworkers would be the only ones that see this. Like the girls will come in and they'll be crying, and we'll be like, "What's up?" Like it feels wrong to see a woman crying, At least for me, it does. And we will be like, "What's wrong?" And we'll look at each other and like, "What's up with her? What's up with homegirl?" And we might not be all sad faced at the time. We might be looking like, with a mean mug, like, "What's going on with her?" Like, But we would ask, and these staff members would tell us, like, mostly the females, because the guys, if they told them stuff, they wouldn't share it, But the females that would cry, we would tell them what's wrong, and it was more than one female, And they'll be like, "These fucking cops are assholes. I hate them." And we'll be like, "What's wrong, fool? Like, what happened?" And they'll be like, "No, nothing." And then, as time will pass, they'll tell us. They'll tell us, like, "We come to work and we try to help you, and we're trying to fix you guys, and that way you don't be criminals." And all these fucking assholes could say is like, "Oh, here comes Miss Hug a Thug."
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
They came up with a term in New Delano called Hug a Thug as an insult to these staff members. And they would really get under their skin when they're processing them in, and they would talk shit, like, "I can't believe you're in there. That guy's probably going to steal from your house when he gets out, and they're probably going to take your car." And it was very negative. And, times like that, you feel like, dang, these fools, not blaming nobody, but Cali was just not ready for it, They were not ready for it. And, along with the SAT program, this was my third prison. But in 2007, that will be my 10th year anniversary of being in prison. And when that happened, I remember reflecting and being like, "Dang, fool, you did it. You got 10 years in prison. You never went PC." Like that, it felt like an accomplishment to me. And at this time, I told stories about Alcinor in the county. Like, this is the individual I respect, the individual that I thought was a real bad hombre, He was a writer. In Cali terms, he was a writer. He was down for whatever, right? Well, he went PC in 2004. So now I'm 6 years ahead of him. And another writer that I know, like, these are like the best of the best, guys. These are like the best of the best. Another one that was with me in the county, he went PC in 2001. you know. And these are both guys that I was like, man, in a room alone, like I know a lot of men won't hang with those two guys, you know. But they ended up leaving. And what happened is that at this time,
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
at this time, anybody that PCs up, like if you know their girl, like sometimes guys will give you the girl's number, right? Like, hey, fool, if I transfer out, you can always contact her and get a hold of me, right? And as homies in prison, you would not get at another homie's girl, you know? But when guys would PC up, anybody who had their number in the section or something, he'll be like, hey, fool, try to get at her. And they'll be like, what do I tell her? And tell her he was a scumbag, tell her he was doing drugs, tell her whatever you can to poison her mind. That way you could take her away from him and pull her to you, because you never know what that girl's going to do for you in the future. She could possibly bring in dope, she could packages, money, etc., etc., etc. So that's like an ongoing thing. This 10-year peak of mine, that's always been going on. And every year people leave, a lot of people leave.
All right. The 15 minutes just hit, and he should be calling us back shortly. Right now, I'm just focusing on listening to the story, and while listening to the story, I'm still typing up these names. I got quite a few names on the roll call, so I'm gonna go ahead and in the future, I'm just gonna have them written so like that, because I have a bad memory when it comes to names and whatnot. So I'm just gonna have them written down and go ahead and start giving out these shout outs before the live stream. The journeys begin, and then because I do appreciate you guys that that tune in day after day, and definitely gotta show recognition for the support and the love that you guys are showing this channel. Anyhow, he should be calling us back shortly, and as soon as he does, then go ahead and continue.
This call is now being
Global
recorded.
Talent. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Joe Perez.
un preso recluido de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Tel-Link.
Hello?
All right, we're here. We're
Yeah.
Man, and that's pretty. I was just thinking about what you were saying right now, as far as reaching out to these guys these defectors that ended up walking away,
Yeah.
and try to pull in their old ladies. That's pretty scandalous. I mean, there's no other way to say it. But I mean, I guess that this is what you sign up for, and these are the things you when you hand over information like that to your family members, your loved ones, and whatnot. People are they're gonna utilize it for their benefits.
Yeah, for their benefits, because the goal was like, especially like, say the homie that left, say he used to bring stuff in, right? So if he left and the homie has her number or whatever, nobody's saying, hey, give me the number, let me talk to her, right? But you'll be like, hey, fool, you got a number? Yeah, shoot your shot, fool. Just keep it simple, high and by on holidays. Like you don't try to rush in there. You try to baby step it, and in time you try to throw a jab here and a jab there and poison her mind, and sometimes these guys were not bad dudes, but you leave it to the storyteller, and it's like, oh, that fool was you were sending packages and he would cluck it on, he was slamming, that thing was going straight in his arm, and so you're smutting the individual up, and you're making her get an image of him that she's never seen, because first of all, that ain't even him. For a lot of them it is, but some cases it's not, and that some cases what I'm talking about. So you try to poison her mind and try to pull her, and in time some of them do, like some of them fall for it, and they do, like, oh man, you left, they cut him loose, and I will be lying if I said this isn't a contributing factor, So at this time I'm 10 years in prison. And people have been leaving since my first year in Tehachapi, remember?
Yeah.
So they've been leaving all this time, bro. And that's kind of like an unspoken rule. Like, it just happens, you know? Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for, clarifying on that and painting the picture. And then, I'll go ahead and hand over the mic to you so you can go ahead and continue because the story's really, really, or the journey is starting to get really interesting now.
Okay. And at this time, remember, a lot of people didn't parole in Tehachapi. Like, you just didn't see it. Even in Salinas, nobody really paroled. So New Delano is like the first prison I'm seeing a bunch of people parole. It's not only Baby Compton. It's like we got a mixture. And on that yard, there's a lot of people that have dates and that are going home. So I'm seeing this for the first time. Now, this next part is probably going to be eye-opening for the audience because it's something people don't talk about too much in here, right? When these parolees parole, like, they're exposed to 180. So when they see the stuff, they see the stabbings, how we're doing it here, they're like exposed to some some realness, right? So when they parole, somehow, some way, and this happened to multiple people, so it's not like a one story, you know? They'll parole, and they'll go to their respective gangs, their respective hoods, and now they're trying to have their little homies do burpees. It's like, hey, fool, you're gonna get disciplined, and they're trying to take these prison politics to the streets, right? And some of these guys that did that, they were not involved in prison. Like, they were just handball players or basketball players. Like, you just go do what you do. And when we need you to stab somebody, we'll come get you, right? Like, all I'm trying to say is they're nobodies in prison. They parole to the streets, and they're trying to take all this game with them to the streets. And what will happen is that they will have a little homie, because picture all these little kids out there. You're a teenager, and somebody's trying to boss up on you coming out of prison. Now, what's the reaction? Like, you could fold, or, this big black shiny thing I got right here, he's going to go bye-bye right now. And so fools are paroling and getting smoked by their homies because they thought they were they thought they were going to take over. But you got to understand, in the streets, it's still wild, bro. It's still you still got little kids that one of the little kids is going to say, I don't care what this fool's preaching. I don't care what he's talking about. He's gone. So people did parole and get killed by their people, by their little homies or whatever, because they just went out and they tried to be too crazy with it. And there's another story where the exact same thing I'm talking about, but nobody killed him. Actually, he ended up coming out on America's Most Wanted. He had the whole hood doing burpees and all prisoned out, and this is what we're gonna do with that homie, and that homie, we're gonna get rid of him, and they ended up coming out on America's Most Wanted, and he got busted. I don't know I think he got life for that, but they had this whole story on America's Most with John Walsh and all that. But he was one of them babies that paroled, and he was like, I'm gonna transform the hood. I'm gonna make it right out here, or whatever he's thinking, But yeah, that was I got to see that in New Delano too. And another thing I got to see was the 2008 economy, right? So I don't know how many people remember that, but in 2008, the money got bad in California. I don't know about other states, but in California it did. And my mother was, in 2001, she started buying a house, right? So 2008, that's like 7 years later, give or take. And
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
In 2008, it goes bad. It goes bad, and my mom's talking to lawyers, and they tell her, look, post up for, I think it was like 9 months at the time, or 8 months. It was like almost a year. And I think this might be the looters, or I don't know what those people call. They take the houses. People are probably going crazy hearing this right now. Like, damn, people did that to my house or did that to somebody's house, right? You go in, you pay a bill, and under the law,
Is it a foreclosure?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. It's foreclosure, but the lawyers told my mom they can't kick you out. So what you're gonna do is just stop paying rent and save all that money. And let that money help you in the future.
Yeah. So I think is it a squatter, like when you stay longer than what you're supposed to stay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, squatter.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, squatter. Okay. So back. Okay. Well, let me tell the audience. Back in 2008, that word squatter don't exist, right? Now I know everybody does it now, and everyone's tired of these squatters. And hopefully I have listeners on both ends squatting at the house right now, like yeah, and the other one's like, hell no, get out of my house, right? But at this time that wasn't a term, and I think that 2008 economy, I think that's what brought all that to light, and it kind of let people know, like, hey, I could do this and it's legal. And so my mom did that. And when she told me all that, I've been in prison, 11 years? It's 2008, 11 years roughly, right? And this is the first time this is the first time in my life where I don't feel like a man. I don't feel like a man because here's my mom struggling, and I'm in prison. And actually, I'm fucking enjoying this shit, I'm enjoying being in prison. And it took me hard to face that reality. Like, you should be out right now. Your mom should have had a son, and her son should have been working, should have been helping his mother. But look at you. You're just in here rotting your life away. So it hit like that. And when that hit, so much more hit on top of it, right? Like, I thought that was heavy, and so much more heavy shit came. Because when I started thinking about that, not being a good son, not being a son a mother could have dreamt of, right? I start feeling so bad for my mom. And I'm feeling so bad for her that my feelings pour out to my victim's mother.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
To this beautiful girl that I murdered's mother, right? I start feeling bad for her because my mom still has me. As effed up as I am, as fucked up as I am, my mother still has a boy in prison, And I can't help her, but she still has me. She could still talk to me. So then all that pain, it kind of shifts from my mom to Angel's mother, right? And I start feeling bad, like bad, this shit wakes me up. And then for the first time in my life, because keep in mind, prior to this, what do you do in the county jail? You share paperwork, and all these fools reading it, it's like, oh, that fool's crazy. Like, it's like another badge of honor in a negative way. And when you come to prison, you're doing the same thing. Like in reception, all your cellies are reading it. In your first prison, all your cellies are reading it. In Salinas, a couple of my cellies read it, right? And I'm not even looking at this girl that I took her life away. I'm not even looking at her as a victim until 2008 economy. And it generates from my mother's struggle and her losing the house. And it rolls over to her mother, which rolls over to her. And that's the first time I admitted to myself in prison. That's the first time I admitted to myself ever that, like, dang, fool, you were wrong for this shit. Because prior to that, I thought I was just living life. I thought these were the cards I was dealt. This is how life turned out. Pretty or ugly, this is how it is. And that made me see, like, nah, for you fucked up beyond belief. And it was hard, and I felt bad, right? I really felt bad. But I'm so into this criminal addictive lifestyle that a week later it don't matter, As bad as I felt that day or those days, like I bury it. I bury my emotions, and I don't change right there, not even close to changing. But that is a monumental step in my change, because that's when I barely started admitting that that I was wrong all the way around in every way, to my victim, to my victim's mother, to my victim's family, to her brothers, to her uncle, to the grandpa, the grandma, to my mom, to all my sisters. That's where it started. That's where the tip of the iceberg started for me, in acknowledging that I was the problem. And after that 2008 economy, I really started thinking, it's still going on, not after. It's still going on, and my mom still has issues, right? And we still don't know where she's going to live. But I get this idea, like, I got to get out of jail. I got to get out of prison. I got to help my mom. And I come up with another plan, It doesn't work, but I come up with it. And I'm telling everyone in the SAP, like, hey, we got power. Like, all the whole prison, they could do what they want. But us in the SAP, we got power. We're 2 buildings. Let's utilize that power. Let's start writing the governor, and at this time it's Schwarzenegger. Let's start writing him a letter every Sunday. And at this time, I only got the idea because on the news, the troop levels were at an all-time low, right? So this is the war in Afghanistan.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
9/11 happened, and then we went to this war. And now we've been at it for years, and troop levels are low. So I got a lot of people. I didn't get everybody, but I got a lot of people in the SAP program in the 2 buildings to write letters to the governor every Sunday. We will send them out every Sunday, week after week after week after week. And the letter would generally say, like, I'm convicted of this. This was my sentence. I'm remorseful for my crime. Can I go to the war and fight? And if I live, that's my freedom. And if I die, I died fighting for my country. So in the gist of it, that's basically what the letter was asking. Now, that never happened. We never got a response. We just sent out letters over and over and over and over again every Sunday. But that was an effort trying to come home. And because of my mother's financial problems,
All right, so the call went ahead and just came to an end. Like always, like, oh man, I can't wait till they get rid of this 15-minute rule. I guess you could call it. Anyhow, I can definitely I can't relate as far as losing your home or whatnot, because in that time, I was still living with my mom, and I couldn't even afford to pay my own apartment. So it was definitely rough. But I do recall, I didn't realize, what was happening until about, I would say 2011, that everybody was, losing their homes. Houses were going into foreclosure.
This call is now being recorded.
Global Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Joe Perez.
un preso recluido de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Tel Link.
Hello. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the letters never went nowhere, bro. And we knew they weren't gonna go nowhere. We were just like wishing on a star, But we were trying, like me and a bunch of guys and all races too, like black, Mexican, white, like anybody who had a life sentence at that time was definitely trying to get their attention. And yeah, we knew it won't work, but we tried it, and that was all inspired because of the 2008 economy with my mom. And a little while later, at that same prison, remember I told you about the guy that lived with my mom, and I never called him dad, but he was there the whole time. As far back as I can remember, that guy was in the house. You know, he was like a stepdad without being a stepdad. You know, and he dies at this time. And I remember my mom telling me, and I didn't feel bad because like I never had a relationship with him, but I did feel bad for my mom, and I did feel bad for my nephews and nieces because to them he did have a relationship with him. He was grandpa, you know? So I felt bad for all of them. And again, this is empathy, right? This is something I never had. But this is me developing it, you know? And I credit a lot of that to my wife in 2003. You know, it goes back to that. Up until this point, I really felt like time was flying. Like my time in the county flew. I would get visits, and you know I have a crimey. I have one crimey for this case. The crimey is a co-defendant, and he got out in 9 months. So we both get busted. We're both facing life sentences, right? And my crimey got out in 9 months, and they gave him the deal in juvenile hall, right? So in the county, he does a little bit, a couple months, you know, 8 months, 7 months, something like that, and then he goes home. So when I get to Tehachapi, he came to visit me in Tehachapi, you know? And when I get to Salinas, you know, he comes to visit me in Salinas too. And when I get to New Delano, well, he shows up, you know, again, you know? And my crimey will be like, dang, fool, you look like you're 18 years old still, you know? And I'll be like, I don't know, fool. Like, you know, it's just because we don't go out, no sun. We're always in the cells 24/7. You know, the lockdowns, they preserve your skin or whatever the case might be. But hearing that I look the same, even when my sisters see me, when anyone sees me, they're like, you look the same. I felt like I haven't done no time either at the same time. So now we get to me 12 years in the system. And at 12 years, I'm looking at pictures of my nephews and my nieces, and it just dawns on me, like, dang, fool, you did a stretch. And you can't tell that when you're living it. Like, if I had no family, if I had no pictures, I probably wouldn't even be able to tell right there because it's just flying by. But because I can see my nephews, like, holding their newborns, and I could see my nieces, and they were little girls when I left, and now they got kids. That makes you realize, like, dang, you got old. And it makes you realize it not gradually as it was happening. It just made me realize it all at a snap of a finger, like, boom. And they're here, and they're old already, and you're still in jail. And that was pretty much my experience in New Delano.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
I realized I had done a long time in prison, and my family's getting older, you know. And at this time too, I still knew, like, I'm never going home. I still knew there is zero chance to get out. Like, we were writing the governor letters, but that didn't do nothing. We knew it wasn't gonna do nothing. That was wishing on a star, man. But I know I'm not going home at this point. I know it clearly. And then my family's telling me, try to get closer to home, try to get closer to home. And now I have the clean time where I can request to go to 270. Tehachapi was a 180, Salinas was a 180, New Delano's a 180. Now I have time clean to request to go to a 270. That's still a 4-yard, but it's like a soft level 4. And if I was going to go to any level 4, I wanted to go to Calipat, because when we would have discussions or talks, we never talk about no 270 4 yards ever. But there was one that was always talked about. It was like, what's going on in this prison, all the 180s. But the only 270 that ever got mentioned was Calipat. So I'm like, man, if I go anywhere, I want to go somewhere that's like decent to me. And to me at that time, I'm a criminal, so I want to go somewhere where it got the reputation, you know. And Calipat had a reputation, so I ended up requesting it, and I ended up getting it, and I ended up leaving to Calipatria State Prison. And when I got there, man, I don't even know. I don't even know what to say about Calipatria. There's so much. They treated me good for sure. They treated me good. I'll say this. Okay, I know what to say about Calipat. Calipat's when I woke up, bro, and a lot of people didn't wake up this soon, you know. A lot of people wake up and they leave, you know. I woke up at Calipat, but I didn't leave. I just woke up. I got to a point in my life where I was like, you know what? This life I was living, it really ain't what I thought it was. The deeper you go down the rabbit hole, the more you learn, you know? And I felt like I was at a stage already where I was like, this is just, you know, it's just using people, you know? It's just using people. And when I told myself that, I had no intentions to leave ever. I was good with a facade. I was good with that, you know? But I did wake up right there. And along with waking up, that didn't do nothing for me. But this is what did. I get a cell phone in Calipat. And now when I get the cell phone, you know, you don't have no numbers because you've been in prison all this time. And keep in mind, those payphones on the walls all this time, you really don't use them because you're always on lockdown. Now, New Delano was different. New Delano, I got to use them. That we always had a program right there because of the SAP program. When I get a cell phone, I'm calling a number, and that number turns into 4 numbers. I call each of those, and those numbers turn into 4 or 5 more numbers, and I start spider webbing out. And now, in no time, I feel like I'm alive. For the first time in prison, I exist. I feel like I'm on the streets. You know, I get to call people. I haven't called my mom in so long at this time. In so long. And she didn't know how to set up a GTL phone. Like, my mom was an old lady, you know? So we would always write. But now I get to talk to my mom, and I start calling her on a daily basis, you know? And keep in mind, my mom and me, we didn't say I love you when we were little. And now we say it all the time. And I could tell she likes it, you know? I could tell she's really, you know, she got to a place where she really likes me telling her I love her and all that, you know? And with the friends, I get locked up at 17. So I know what happened here. When I was around 12 years old, you know, that's when people started getting into different gangs, right? So because of the different gangs you were getting into, some of these guys could never come back and kick it with the whole group, or these guys couldn't talk to these guys, right? Now, I could talk to everyone still, but I see the dynamics. So when I get busted at 17, all my friends out there, they still live. They're still living a life. And what happens was this group of friends stop talking to them, and those don't talk to these ones no more.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Life goes, you know, and people don't talk to people no more. So when I get a hold of people, they're like, oh, we don't talk to them, or this happened, this car accident happened, he don't talk to him, he flew out the windshield. And I'm like, okay, but I'm still talking to everyone. Everyone still likes me. I didn't stay out there long enough to make enemies of these people, like in our 20s, and, you know, mistakes or things that just tore them apart, you know? So I'm still talking to everybody. Dang, there was something I wanted to say right now, and it just slipped my mind.
Hey, Joe.
But I got in contact with yeah.
maybe sorry to cut you off, but you mentioned a little while ago that you woke up. How many years into your journey, your prison journey, did you have that epiphany that you figured out, what it was, what was going on in prison, and how people were being utilized, for somebody else's benefit?
Okay, when I was younger, we use this term. It's for the cause. Like, it's for the cause, homeboy. Why do we do that? It's for the cause, right? So at this time, in New Delano, there's somebody that I admired a lot. Like, he's an OG. He's an OG of mine, and I have a lot of respect for him. And he's from El Monte, California. And one time he was telling me, we got into this deep debate, and he was like, you know what the cause is, fool? This is the cause. No child molesters, no rapists, no snitches. That's the cause. That's it. Anything else, it ain't the cause. So when you're asking or they're asking, hey, this guy owes this money, hey, this guy disrespected this, or hey, that ain't the cause, right? So after that conversation, I remember in New Delano thinking, damn, that's right. Like, that is right. But later, after that conversation, when I was young, I was very outspoken, and I was very, like, hands-on, and I was very much behind the steering wheel, right? And I felt like I knew how to drive a car. Now, some people don't know how to drive a car. So some people drive it in an ugly way. Now, when these people are like that, they don't talk about homies the same way. They'll be like, oh, we're going to use that fool. He's only a dope fiend. We're going to send him on the mission. Now, when I'm little, they probably know not to talk like that around me because I'll shut that shit up. Like, you ain't going to talk about no homie like that, fool. Like, what do you do on the weekends? What do you do over here? Like, nah, we're not doing that. But when I get older, like, I'm laid back more. So now I'm observing more, and I'm letting people be themselves more because I'm not jumping in. And when you hear people talk about, like, good homies, man, and they're like, oh, we're going to use that fucker. He's fucking stupid anyways. Da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, dang, these fools think they're, like, you really think you're above somebody. Like, you really think that fool's less than you. But you've been in his situation before, too, And so when you start doing that and when you start seeing scandalous things, like scandalous moves done, homies getting hurt that don't have to get hurt. When I was in Calipat, I saved a lot of homies, like, from getting assaulted, stabbed, right? And I will go over there and I will shut things down. Like, nah, this is why, right? And if I...
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
If I wasn't there to do that, those things would have just happened. So I start seeing more like, dang, if you're not here, these fools are scandalous. These fools are fucking, they're toxic to a species, to our own species, right? So when I say I woke up, that's what I mean. I woke up like fools were just like more than happy to use somebody. It wasn't for the cause no more. It was for self-interest, self-benefits. It was for, I can say this and you have to do it. Like, it turned more ugly. And that's what I mean. I woke up, it was all fake to me now. Everything we had been striving for was a ball of fakeness. And
all right, so I really appreciate him clarifying on that. When was it that he woke up and he saw what it was, what was really going on. So as soon as he calls back, then he'll go ahead and continue down his journey. But interesting, his journey, and that's one of the reasons that I want to have these gentlemen coming on. I'm sure a lot of people are gonna listen to these stories, and some people enjoy them for the entertainment. Some people maybe will get something positive, from it. And, and those are.
This call is now being recorded.
Global Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Joe Perez.
un preso recluido de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Telling.
Hello.
Hello.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey. So appreciate you letting us know when was it that you opened up your eyes and you saw for what it was, but obviously
what it was.
You weren't ready to walk away, and eventually we're gonna get to what transpired. And what led you to finally make that decision, because I'm sure it wasn't an easy decision, because you've been conditioned for years already, and everybody wants to remain on the on the main line, on the good side. So with that, I'll go ahead and hand over the microphone back over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. My mindset was like this, James. I don't know I'm going home right here, right? Like there's no chance of ever paroling in 2010 in Calipat. But I knew it was fake already, And I want to tell, because if you're older, you kind of experience life already. So this one's for the little kids out there, right? The young guys. When I was little, I believed in friends till the end. Like that term wasn't a joke to me. That term was everything to me. Friends to the end, It don't work like that. This is how it works, guys. The people you know ain't always gonna be in your life. So the people you know at 10, they ain't gonna be the same people at 15 or 20. Now they might be. You might have good friends that stick in your life, but the people you know at 20 ain't gonna be there at 30. That's really how life works. Like you don't.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
You don't keep the same group of friends. Life takes you apart. So that friends to the end, and caring so much about what this group of friends thinks about you. My advice would be don't ever let that happen, because the friends that you are currently with right now, if you're 16 years old, they're not going to be the same batch when you're 24 years old. Life goes on, and I didn't know that back then, and nobody told me that. Like I thought the same little pile was going to be with me for the rest of my life. And when you think like that, your decisions are coming out to cater that thought process. And that's not the way the world works. Here's something else I want to tell you. The people that mind don't matter. The people that don't matter mind. Because your mom, the people that are really there in your life, they're always going to be there. You can never do no wrong in their eyes. Like, when you come to prison, the people that send you money, that take care of you, that send you packages and make sure you don't got to eat this crap food that they give us, that's your mom, that's your sister, it's an uncle, it's a dad, it's like the people in your family. And that same group of friends, like they're out the picture. They could send you pictures. Now that we got tablets, people are better connected. Now, you'll get a whole lot of pictures on your tablet probably, but what about you haven't experienced this part when you're calling somebody and they don't even pick up your call? And then you're so pissed off, you're like, hey, go see what that person's doing on social media. And they're like, okay, I got you. And they're like, man, they be posting this, posting that, and you're like in the cell dying because you're mad, you're angry, and you're like, okay, so fuck me then. Like, there's no time for me. I was that good of a friend to you, and okay, well, F you too, But that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so much more to life, and falling in the trap of like thinking things, that's a trap in itself, So just remember, the people that mind don't matter, and the people that matter don't mind. And most of the time, that's going to be your family, because I've never ran into an inmate that the majority of his homies send him the money. It don't work like that. You got a wife. It's usually a woman, guys. It's usually a wife or a mother, And talking about Calipat, I remember something that I want to tell you guys in New Delano, because I don't want to leave nothing out, and I know I can't tell my whole story, but I want to tell this one, because this is like a stain on me. This is like a negative, but I don't want to leave it out because it's the truth, In New Delano, I was getting involved with things. Like the SAP thing was kicking off. My mind was changing gradually, right? They're trying to give me tools to use in life, and I think it's all BS at the time. But my mind is still changing. So I'm getting more pro-social without even knowing the word, right? We don't have family visits at this time. Family visits is so you can go spend the night with your wife, And I want them. And I start campaigning for them. And I have my mom, my sisters, my wife. I have them all going outside of Walmart, collecting signatures, because at the time, this is what we believed would do the trick, right? So I'm having all of them collect signatures out there. And would you vote for this? Would you cast a vote for this? Da 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 da. So you got to get all those signatures and send them up somewhere, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I jump on the internet. And I go on there with this, instead of trying to find a girl to write to, I throw a thing out there like, hey, I'm trying to get family visits, da 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 da. So when that happened, there were a lot of girls that wrote me, and they'll be like, hey, I got this guy in prison, how are you doing it? And I'm like, oh, just here's my wife's number, my mom, I have everyone doing it, right? So everyone kind of gets the same spiel from me, right? So when that's done, it's over and done with. And I go to Calipat. And I was telling you guys, I'll continue that story, but I just wanted to throw that in there right now. I'll say it in the future. So I go to Calipat and I get reconnected with the phones, and now I'm touching bases with all my friends, and my friends are letting me know what happens, and I'm talking to all my family, and I talk to my mom every day. I'm talking to my sisters, my nephews and nieces. Like, everything's starting to feel like I'm home, except I'm not. I'm in prison. Now when that happens, there's a sense of feeling like on the streets that you get with a cell phone, that you guys will never get what I'm saying because nobody's been in jail, right? So you feel like you're out. And at that point, it's an easy justification to have a cell phone in prison. It's easy. And you justify it more when you're like, well, the cops are bringing them in anyways, And you justify it more with, well, I'm never getting out. I'm never going home anyways. So what's the big deal? Like, I got life anyways. And that's how you justify it, because the boards have a real hard time at looking at an inmate after he has a cell phone write-up. They just look at you like differently, in a negative way, right? And that's, I just wanted to say that about the people. Why would you be willing to have a cell phone? Because you feel like you're home again. You feel like you're freedom. You feel like you're not locked up. And when I had the cell phone, I was very rebellious towards officers. In my whole time, I was very rebellious towards them. When I got that cell phone, man, the cop could tell me anything he wants. So I looked at him with a smile. Yes, sir. No, sir. I'm gone. Like anything to keep this man out of my house. Anything to keep him like, oh, you know what? That guy's all right. He don't bug me. man, I've been over backwards for them when I first touched my phone, because I'm like, this phone means everything to me. And when you lose one, you know, I've never done heroin, but when you lose one, I've went through it, bro. Like, withdrawals, feeling miserable, like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I need another one. And I had a lot of good times in Calipat like that, right? I was single over there for a while, and I ended up getting girls to come visit me and doing all that and jumping on Facebook. All that was new to me. Facebook, Moco Space, Plenty of Fish, AirG, like stupid little websites like that, right? Here's one thing I'm not even saying to the audience. I felt so stupid. Like, there's no other way to say this, and I know a lot of inmates feel it like this too. I felt so stupid the first time I touched the phone, because I didn't know how to use the touch screen. So when I don't even know how to turn it on. I don't know how to call nobody. I'm like an idiot. And then when you're texting, like, especially a girl, man, they shoot those things so fast. They're like, bing, and you're still on the one trying to get at them, and it's like, bing, bing, and it's like, dang, this girl's probably talking to this thing, because there's no way she could text that fast. But that's how slow a prisoner is when they barely touch this device for the first time. It's like, you're stupid slow, and you're apologizing to everybody because you're like, hey man, I'm sorry, I don't know how to do this, and they're like, don't trip, fool, you get the hang of it. And yeah, like 2-3 weeks, you're in there, you're in the zone. But yeah, that happened in Calipat. And another thing I want to say is Calipat I'm there in 2012, and in 2012 they take LWOPs with a life without the possibility of parole, and they could only go to 270. At that time, they say they could go level 3, and at that time they're saying, hey guys, it's not going to be CDC no more, it's going to be CDCR for rehabilitation. And we're all scratching our heads like, man, these fools are crazy. It's just a tactic to get more money, right? But it wasn't. It wasn't a tactic to get more money. In time, you could see the results. But right there, it was so fresh, and we're so used to the system being one way that we don't think nothing about it. And they were having concerts at Tehachapi. They were having guys that ride bikes, BMX bikes, and all whatever, right? And I won't even go to the yard. If I could stay in and sneak in, I will stay, like on that concert day, and just to cupcake with baby, you know, like I just want to chill and be on the phone with my baby. I don't want to do nothing. But keep in mind, there is mandatory yard, so you have to go. But if you could sneak off, why not sneak off, you know? And back to that story about New Delano. Remember I told you guys about me jumping on the internet, hey, this family visits? Well, some guy hears me say my name at the white pile. Someone meets me, it's not him. And I introduce myself, and he hears that. And now this guy, you could see everything in his body wants to go. Like, he wants to kill me, you know? And you could see it. And he's like, hey, fool. And I'm like, what's up? And he goes, you're so-and-so? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, let's take a lap. I'm like, all right. So I already know it's all bad right now. And I think he's a family member of Angel. Like, I think he's her family.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
The way this guy is acting towards me is very aggressive and violent, and he's doing everything he can to control himself, right? And we take a walk, and he's like, you know what this is? You know what this is about? And I'm like, yeah, because I think it's Angel's family member. Like, I'm like, yeah, I know what it's about. And I'm trying not to be rude because now I understand that I took someone's family member away. And now I understand, like, if this fool wants to tap into my program, like at this point in time, if you touch me, I'm of course I'm gonna react, right? But I'm sensitive to what I did. Now,
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
when we take the lap and we're talking further, it turns out this is not one of her family members, you know? But he does have a girl that wrote me on the when I was saying about family visits. So I'll continue with that right now when I call back.
All right, we'll be here waiting, and shout out to everybody that's currently listening. I'll go ahead and go down the list, and hopefully I could get through it before he calls back. So big shout out to ICEMAN, shout out to Mad Max 408 and M Star Media. Also shout out to LBCK15, to LA Analyst, to Fish Slayer SoCal, Biddy K tapping in from the UK, United Kingdom, Manny C. Also, we got GyroLamb, and finishing it off with Vince Moreno coming in from San Diego. I really appreciate, you guys tapping in and all the support. And there he is. He's definitely, got them Twitter fingers. He knows how to move that fast.
Esta es Global
This
Talent.
call is now being
Usted tiene
recorded.
una llamada prepagada de
Joe Perez.
un preso recluido de la prisión estatal de Sentinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Tel Link.
Hello, Joe. Hey, so I was just commenting.
Yeah.
I was complimenting you right now on your Twitter fingers. You got them fingers moving really fast. It's definitely been a change from the first time you got your cell phone. You know how to move it, and I really love that you're able to connect these calls. Super fast.
Yeah. Thank you, James. I first coded in Calipatria State Prison on a cell phone, and I didn't know I would do that, but I did that apparently too. Does any of the callers, anybody out there have any questions, or continue?
So we just had Vince Moreno, tapping in, and he put a comment in here that he's been he's happy that he's been able to catch a live, one of your lives, and also that he's been been watching, been listening to all your interviews or your journey. So just that right now, everybody's just you got everybody at the edge of either their seat, their bed, or if they're driving, probably they're probably a nervous wreck right now, listening to your journey. So hey, man, who would have known that Plenty of Fish would have got you caught up, possibly almost in a wreck. So hey, the mic's yours, and you could go ahead and take over.
Okay. And Vince, that's a hell of a last name you got there, bro. I love it. And so this guy is talking to me, and he wants to go. I could see it. And I as I said, I thought it was Angel's family member. And he tells me, "Hey, Mahaina so-and-so." And I'm like, okay, like I'm supposed to know that? You know what I mean? Now I know it's nothing to do with that. And now I'm kind of like, you're still on edge. You're still ready to rock because you don't know what it's about. I could read his body language, right? I know he's hella mad. But I'm like, okay, like that doesn't ring a bell. And he's like, it don't ring a bell or whatever, right? I'm not even going to get into that. But he's very angry. So then he tells me, he explains that she wrote me in New Delano, da-da-da-da. And I'm like, are you talking about the family visit thing? And he's like, yeah, fool, you were over there trying to lure these women in, and you're a bad homie. You're trying to take homies' ladies, and it went to something like that, bro. And I'm like, look, fool, like I remember writing all those girls back, and as we're talking, I remember writing the exact letter because we're going on. And the reason I remember is because these guys from Elsinore. I remember my close ties with all these guys from Elsinore. So, he's like, I still got the letter, and you don't know how many, for the past 6 years, I've been thinking of killing you, or the past 4 years, or whatever. He confesses all this to me in the yard, right there, And I remember I'm feeling bad for him because this woman is his wife, right? And when it's his wife, my brain automatically shifts to my wife. Like, what would I do if I thought some motherfucker was in here getting at her, right? So now I'm on his side more than mine. You know, like I just jump ship. Like I don't even have a dog in the fight no more. I'm like I get it. I understand how you feel. Now I know why he's so ready to go. And maybe a wife in the streets is not I don't want to say that, but maybe I'm going to say it because I'm a prisoner. Maybe a wife in the streets is not, you don't get all crazy like that for, right? But in prison, you know, like being isolated from everybody and having this woman that's been by your side through thick and thin, and she's, you know what I mean, she means a lot. So if some other guy on the streets, it don't matter. If a guy on the streets gets your girl, who cares? Like, that's part of life, you know. Kudos to him, you know what I mean? But in prison, if
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
in prison, if another guy gets your girl and he's an inmate, like, there's going to be feelings about that. There's going to be hella feelings about that shit. And so I completely understand where this guy's coming from. So my edge and my all that shit, like I'm like more like trying to let him know, like, hey, I understand, like I get it, whoa, this and that. And he's like, I still got the letter, and how dare you? And he's going off, bro. He's just going off, and he's not cussing, but he is angry, you know. And I'm like, I remember the letter, and he goes, you remember what you told her, this and that. And I'm like, yeah, I told her my wife's doing the same thing, getting signatures, and my mom and my sister. And anyways, now I fast forward. He tells me stop by so I could read the letter, you know, and da-da-da. And I'm like, all right. So we don't get into no fight. We don't get into nothing. But he's very, very upset, you know. And he wanted to kill me for the last couple of years. He's been obsessing on meeting me so he could kill me. And I'm a porter, so I come out and I come to his door, and he's showing me the letter, and I'm reading it. And on the letter, keep in mind this guy's from Elsinore, so I'll explain why it said that. On the letter, I was talking normal to her, and I mentioned my sisters, my mom. I didn't get at this girl like, what's up, like none of that. None of that goes on in this letter, right? But at the end of the letter, I do say, because she said she was from Elsinore. So I'm like, hey, who's your man? Who's your man from Elsinore? I did say that. And I say something like, oh, maybe it's Destiny. Now, what I was referring to right there was because if this is one of my boys from Elsinore, they had phones in New Delano on B Yard. And I'm on D Yard, we didn't have phones. So as a criminal thinker, as thinking like a criminal, I'm like, oh, this is establishing me with that yard. And if it's one of my boys, we'll figure a way to get us phones over here. We'll figure it out. So that's what I was getting at when I said, who's your man, and maybe this is Destiny, because I'm thinking this might be one of my ace deuces. So anyways, that word Destiny, he had a real problem with that word in the letter. And even when I tried to tell him what it was, like his opinion or his mind, it was still so strongly rooted, like, fool, you try to take my girl or whatever, right? So this is the blemish, guys. This is the blemish. When I'm at his door, he got his girl on the phone. I know he has the phone at this time too. So he's on the phone, and he's talking to his girl. And he goes, hold up. So I'm reading the letter, and I get all the way to the bottom, the end of the page, and all that, and it's right there. And I'm like, oh, okay, I see what you're talking about. And he says he takes that, and I don't know what he took it as, but he took that, and he was like, man, fuck you, you fucking bitch, you fucking da-da-da. And you don't want to talk to, like, inmates like this, right? And his cellie looks at me, and his cellie got the face like, fuck, I can't believe this shit just happened. And I'm looking at him, and as a homie, you're taught, you don't say nothing through a door, you know? You don't verbally disrespect someone through the door. You pick up a knife and you stab them. That's cut and dry. That's how you're taught. And so when he gets done, and he's like, fucking bitch, and he picks up the phone, and he's like, fucking, you know, he's going on. He's telling this girl, like, he just told me off, right? And now I don't know how to handle this at this time, guys. So all I could think of is, like, tomorrow at yard, I'm going to blast him. That's all I could think right here. So when I walk away from the door, I'm like, okay, don't say nothing. Just show him tomorrow. You know, because one thing is feeling bad about his girl and feeling bad about his situation, but another thing was his fool just called me out of my name, you know? And those are the thought processes. So when I get to my cell, I have a cellie that we're very close, right? We were cellies for like 3 years. Maybe not at that time, but he stays my cellie, and we end up being cellies for like 3 years or whatever, right? And this cellie I helped out so much, you know, in this prison with one aspect of his life, or maybe two. Well, I get back, and I'm telling my cellie, look, I'm getting my stuff together, and he's like, what's up, fool? And I'm like, I'm gone tomorrow, you know? And he's like, what? And he's like, what? How? Where? Like, you haven't even said nothing, fool. Stop packing. Stop, like, let's talk. And I'm like, look, fool, like there's nothing to talk about, you know? And I explained to him what happened, and he's like, hey, man, you know, just give it some time. And I'm like, what do you mean? Because I'm not used to that. And I'm like, fool, he got to go tomorrow. Like, I got to put steel in him. And he's like, nah, man, you're tripping. Like, I had it good. You know, I'm not going to go into details, but I had it good right here. And my cellie is saying that. He's like, fool, look, like, don't walk away from this, you know? And I'm like, I have to. Like, this fool just fucking called me out my name. Like, I have anger because of what he said. I have anger for him thinking that, like, how could you do that? You think I'm not going to do nothing? I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. And my cellie says, just go to yard and just don't do nothing. Let him attack you if he wants it, but I guarantee you he's not going to do nothing, fool. Just you don't be the one to get him. And, you know, I'm like, okay, we'll see how that goes, you know? And I go to yard, and this guy doesn't come to me. He doesn't do nothing. But more importantly, I don't do nothing. And I'm feeling a certain, like, I have all kinds of feelings. They're not even mixed. They're telling me, like, fool, you should, you know what you need to do. You should go do that. And I don't do nothing, and yard's over. And now I feel even more funny because I let the whole yard pass, and I didn't do shit. And I'm like, fuck. And I come back to the cell, and that cellie was so cool. I told him, I feel hella stupid, fool. Like, we walk back in the cell door is closed. And he's like, nah, fool, I told you he's not going to do nothing. And this individual, my cellie, that cellie, goes in to get tattooed by him. Yeah, in like a couple weeks, bro, like 4 weeks. And that guy's telling him, like, oh, did you hear what I said to your cellie? And he's going on, and my cellie tells him, like, hey, fool, that's not even him. That's a good guy right there, you know? And da-da-da-da. And I've heard from other homies that he was, you know, saying stuff like that too, and they will tell him the same thing, like, hey, fool, like this is a, you know, this is a good dude, you know? Maybe somewhere along the lines things got mixed up. And before I left that yard, that individual, kudos to him, credit to him, you know. We took other laps, you know, and he was the one to engage it, you know. He was like, hey, can I get, you know, can I get a minute? And we took other laps, and I thought that was very manly of him. And at this time I was completely over it, you know. Like, I'm like, if he wants it, I'm never hiding my neck. He could slice that. He could try to do this or that. Like we're both out there. And he apologized for that, and we got over it, and it was water under the bridge, and that was a good feeling. That's the first time I had an altercation of that nature where I thought it was the biggest thing in the world, and nothing came about it. In my mind, I used to magnify things and minimize things, right? So it's all plus and negative signs. It's like, oh, how could he say that? That'll go to 1,000,000. And then the reaction of what I'm going to do, I'll minimize that. Oh, that's nothing. So that minus will go all the way till that calculator can't go no more, you know? But as people, we don't have to, like, blow things up so much, you know? Somebody hearing the story is probably like, what the hell's that fool tripping on? Like, so what? He called him that. Like, that's not big a deal. But we make it big within ourselves. We take a situation, and the people around us might not be thinking, like, that's a big deal. But we put the pressure on ourselves because our thoughts and what we think of ourselves make it the big deal. And making it the big deal might make a actual event happen. So if you're ever in a situation and you think, or you're putting pressure on yourself, just step back and think about that, because it's never a big deal like that, guys. Very rarely is it a big deal. But that happened, and I didn't want to leave that out of my story because the fool called me a bitch, you know what I mean? And that was an extremely ugly thing to me at that time, like hell no, But I didn't want to leave it out because
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
And as much as I thought of myself, as highly as I thought of myself, that happened. And there were circumstances like the wife, am I thinking of that? But it still happened. It don't take nothing away. Dude did say that, So I'll call back right now.
All right, perfect. Yeah, we'll be here. We'll be waiting, and I want to throw my 2 cents in on what you just shared to us from an outside person's perspective that's never been to prison.
Okay, I'll hear that right.
All right. So I think if I remember correctly, he had told me that he could be on until about 12:30. So I believe this is probably gonna be our last call. But I'm definitely gonna be going live today again. We're gonna be going on. We're gonna be bringing on Jesse and David. I believe like are about 4:30 or so, somewhere around that time. So just be on the lookout. The last few days I haven't been able to get on live because I've been working, unfortunately, and pretty much I'm stuck at work all day. I do 10-hour shifts. I go in and I about 10, and I don't get off until about 9:30.
This call is now being recorded.
Global Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Joe Perez.
un preso recluido de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Tel Link.
Hello. All right,
yeah.
Joe. So like earlier, you mentioned that you had this gentleman that you reached out to his wife and somehow he figured out that you were trying to come up on his girl.
Wait. Can I clarify?
Yeah.
I want to clarify something.
Yeah.
No, I was on the internet and she reached out to me. She wrote me in prison.
Okay. Yeah.
When I was saying about the family visiting, that's all.
Okay.
I don't want nobody thinking I'm a snake, Yeah.
All right. Yeah. My bad right there. For switching up the words.
Okay.
Okay. So that it just what I'm kind of confused because so she reached out to you, you replied to her,
yeah,
and then the letter somehow ends up in obviously I know how the letter got into her dude's hands, and then he reads it and he thinks that you're trying to bust a 211 on his girl.
Get at her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that letter don't say nothing like that, bro. Like my mom, I'm mentioning my wife, my mom, my sister's food. Like at the end, all I said was, "Who's your man from Elsinore?" Maybe this is destiny, right? I'm thinking this might be one of my buddies, and like, hey, fool, help me out. Like we don't have phones over here. That's my angle as a criminal at that point, right? That's what I meant. But he took that as like I'm trying to take his girl or pull his girl. I don't know. But when I shoot Mac, I'm a Mac. There's no other way to say it, bro. Like I know how to talk to women, And that definitely wasn't one of those moves,
Yeah, and you know what? And in prison, obviously, things, that wouldn't be a big deal on the streets or at home or in the real world. They're definitely, a big deal. So they don't even have to be actual and factual. People could make up these scenarios up in their mind. Obviously, when you're in prison, you're in lockdowns. you have a lot of time, to think, and you're in your head, and you might get in your feelings. So man, he's been stewing in that for the last 5, 6, or whatever amount of time, and
years. Yeah. He told me, he goes, I can't wait to meet you, fool, because I've been thinking about killing your fucking ass for the. I was like, bro, but go ahead, continue.
Oh, but yeah, so I mean, just the way you said it, when he's telling you that, and obviously you mentioned that you could see his body language, and and you could tell that he had some pent up anger in there that he probably wanted to get out, but the hairs on your neck go up, or exactly what were you feeling at that moment?
Okay, at that moment, when he first said, let's take a lap, right? Because he's probably like, hey, homie, you're so-and-so? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, hey, let's go take a lap. Like, it's kind of like that, right? Lets you know, like, this is serious, right? So at that point, now I'm walking with him. And as I'm walking, like, each step, I'm calculating what I'm going to do to him. Like, mentally, I'm calculating how I'm going to react. If he's right-handed, left-handed, like I'm getting in the zone right here. And at the same time, I fought so much that like things start slowing down for me when a situation like that happens. It starts getting real slow, and my adrenaline goes up, of course. It shoots, boom. But it don't take a long time to shoot. It's just like a second and it's there. I'm ready to rock, So what I'm thinking is about the physical events that might transpire. I'm not thinking nothing else,
And Amy just tapped in right now, and I just want to go ahead and clarify, because now we actually have 2 Joes, doing the lives now. So we have the Joe from Jojo from last night. I did a call with him last night.
I'm Big Joe.
yeah.
I'm Big Joe, fellas.
And we got Big Joe right here. So yeah, we got we got 2 different Joes, So just if you look at the titles, one is gonna be labeled JoJo, and then we'll have a Big Joe here. So not to get the the storylines confused here with the 2.
confused. Yeah,
easily. I saw when I saw his name, I was like, man, this is definitely gonna cause some confusion. So
okay.
Hopefully people are able to differentiate. Joe, Big Joe that we got on here right now. He's a Cowboys fans, and you'll see the blue text scrolling in the background, and also the voice meter. Jojo, he's a Raiders fan, so you'll see his text scrolling across in black. So that's one of the reasons too that I customize everybody's stream to to their favorite teams. If you guys haven't picked up on that, so you hopefully that'll help out.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying, James.
All right, perfect. So yeah, so like I was saying, being called the B, on the street, or depending on the type of setting on the street, probably you wouldn't get a reaction, but in prison, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you're saying that you think in your mind you think it's a bigger deal than what everybody else is perceiving around you. I'm not sure if anybody besides you, him, and Iseli heard that, but it obviously.
No, that was it. That was it, bro. But the fact is, it got said. So even if no one heard it, I know it got said. I know what this means. And that's what I'll say about that. But go ahead, continue. And I want to hear what you say.
Yeah. So that's obviously a trigger word in prison. So my first thought is, okay, you want to stab this dude, but it hasn't been sanctioned by anybody. So if you do stab him, what's gonna happen to you? I mean, because can you justify that in the back? Like what are you gonna tell everybody? Hey, how can you make this situation right without getting yourself in a wreck?
You know what, James? I would have helped him justify that. That's the kind of man I am, right? Right there, I had it made. Okay, so there would have been a lot of people on my side, just for how I was right there, right? But I would have went and spoke for him and been like, hey, even with him not knowing, I would have been like, hey, that's his wife. Like, I'm not complaining nobody else should complain right here, right? Like it was done to me. That's the kind of approach I would have took on it. And more importantly, if I wanted to, I could have been a snake, not to his wife, not nothing like that, but I could have been a snake to him, because if I was another man, and people hold things against people, right? So I was in a position, like if I wanted to, I could have shot, and I never did that. I never did that because of this whole situation.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
On a totally unrelated thing, if I wanted to be a snake and double back and cause something for this, and say it, go about it in a whole different way, like there were options right there, and I would never do that, and I didn't do that, but that's just because like I'm raised a certain way, and I did feel bad for the individual, I did empathize with him. Even though it wasn't true, I still felt his anger. I could relate to this man,
And from listening to your journey, and I get the feeling that that you stuck out your neck for a few people that you felt that deserved, that didn't have it coming, and that's something rare, in those type of situations, because most of the time, people are like, shit, better him than me. So why did you feel it was your duty, to help these other gentlemen out on their situations?
That's been a part of me from childhood, right? Like I don't believe in bullies, so bullies were always out to me, and kind of my environment. If somebody was a bully, like I wouldn't necessarily have to be the one to do something, because there's always someone bigger and badder than you. So sometimes the situation just gets fixed by somebody else, right? But I used to misplace like I thought things were courageous, and I thought I was being brave in a lot of things I did, right? But I was misplacing the bravery and the courage for violence. Like, yeah, they might have been with good intentions, they might have been with good morals, but there was a warped moral. It was a warped good intention, right? Just like when I do the Compton baby, I go and fix that with the black guy, the $400. I fix all that, and this is like a racial thing, so it's a harder fix, I fix that, but at the same time, I'm saying if he messes up, I'll stab him. Now, I had confidence that he would not mess up after I talked to this kid, right? And he didn't. He stayed good the whole time, and he ended up paroling. Now, when they sent him to go stab somebody, I am trying to fix that. But what do I say? I'm saying, hey, don't send him to stab the guy. I will stab the guy on his behalf. Let him go. Cut him loose. Now, that don't happen, but I'm trying to fix things and be good, but I'm doing them in the bad ways. Like who says, hey, don't...
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Who in the free world says, hey, don't shoot that guy, put the gun down, and as soon as he does, you pick up the gun and shoot him, so he didn't have to do it? Nobody does that. So I'm trying to be good, but I'm so bad that it's still coming out bad. I'm not thinking, hey, don't shoot that guy, put the gun down. Okay, let me get the gun, let me take the bullets out, let me stop all this. I'm trying to do good, and at the same time, there is violence, a violent way of fixing the situation, and that goes to my my dysfunctional thinking at the time.
All right, and then I'm not sure. I think you say you could be on until 12:30. Is that correct today?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so if there's anybody out there that's listening, if you got any questions, feel free to either drop them in the chat, or better yet, we do have some phone numbers that you could call in if you actually want to come on the air and and ask them your questions, voice to voice. So there's two different numbers down on the bottom scrolling on the blue text. The first one is you could call in like a regular phone number. The second one that says WhatsApp and FaceTime audio, you could call in, through those apps, and there is no charge. Just in case you're international, I wouldn't want you to, occur any type of international phone call charges. So, that's that. And if you can't see the numbers, just let me know, and I'll go ahead and put them up on the chat, to make it easier. So, we'll be on for the next few minutes, and this is your opportunity. If you wanna tap in and make a comment, ask a question, or whatever is it that you wanna do. And with that, for as far as like the part of the journey in your for this prison, do you still have more of it that you want to continue with? We'll wait. Somebody calls
we'll
in.
continue time at this place, and a lot of good things happen right here. Like a lot of good stuff happens that I could share. But Amy asked a question, and it was like, has he ever been to Donovan? And for Amy out there, no, I never been to Donovan. Only Salinas out of those two prisons that you mentioned. And I got to see that because sometimes I get to read the messages,
That's right. Yeah. So normally what I try to do, if I don't forget, I'll go normally like take screenshots during like the moments like right now. I'll screenshot all the comments, and then when we're done, I'll go ahead and forward them over to the guests we have on. And then so like that, they could either, see the questions for themselves that the audience, are putting in the chat. And then and I'm glad I do things like that, because, in this case, obviously I missed asking him, when we're in the live. But, Joe, he's definitely sharp.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
And I definitely got to step up my game on that. But, he went ahead and answered the question, because, he was able to see that with his own eyes. So, I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm doing a little bit extra with those, taking the screenshots, but then hey, like you have the time, to read the messages and do something like that. So it's helps us, connect with our community at a different level.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Reading those messages, it's that's a joy in itself, I see all of it, and I thank you guys for all of it, all the support.
And if you want to call us back, we'll go ahead and finish it up, and then we just got a comment.
Okay.
All right, so he's gonna go ahead and call us back. We'll be on for like about another 5 minutes before he has to go off and continue his day. And like I mentioned earlier on, we are going to be having David and Jesse come on at about 4:30 or so. So if you don't have your notifications on, you want to definitely make sure that you have them on, so you don't miss any of these lives that we do go on. Normally I don't have like a set schedule. Normally it's just kind of random. When I jump on, just because my life doesn't really allow me to set things up like that. Normally I'll just go ahead and jump on. And normally I don't like to post things up, because sometimes these calls are not able to be made. Like a few nights ago, I had mentioned that I was going to jump on at I think 11 p.m. and I was waiting for the call. I never got it.
The call is now being recorded.
Una llamada prepagada de
Joe Perez.
Un preso recluido de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Tel Link.
Hello.
Hello, Joe.
Yeah.
All right. So when do you think, are you available for tomorrow? Because I'm off. I'm not sure if I mentioned to you, but I'll be off this pretty much this whole week. And then we could definitely continue to get your journey out there, because I know a lot of people are definitely tuning in and enjoy listening to your journey, because you, like I say, you paint a very vivid picture. You're very detailed.
Man, when you say that, I'm like, there's so much I left out. Can you imagine like a tell-all? Like, I won't do it on the phone though. It would be like a book, but
Yeah.
But I won't do that. I won't do that anyway. But I mean, it is when you look back, there's stories that you forget about and everything, you know. I forgot what was the question, James. It just tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm available tomorrow.
Okay, so we'll
Yeah,
definitely.
I'll have to schedule that in.
There it is.
Let me talk to my secretary. Hold on, Amber. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, today we got day room right now. So tomorrow will be morning day room. Are you available tomorrow morning?
Yeah. Definitely are.
Okay. You say a time and I'll be there.
How about let's see. I don't think my daughter goes to school tomorrow, so I would say maybe like at about 11. Does that work for you?
Yeah, but I have to leave like at 12:30.
Okay.
Is that cool?
Yeah. We'll do an hour and a half. You know, whatever time you could squeeze in, will definitely work.
Okay. And if not, I'll probably just stretch it out and just stay. You know. Okay. Then I'll show up at 11:30 tomorrow, right?
Yeah. And then we just got before the call ended, we got a comment from GyroLamb, and he puts the lack of natural light is one of the worst things about prison.
Tell him I used to get confused in the county jail and in prison sometimes. Like before where everyone knew me, in my early days, they will say, hey, are you a Wood? Or are you a homie? Like, you know what I mean? And I would look at these fools and be like, what the right? But yeah, they used to always say that. I used to get that a lot because of that unnatural ability to get the sun, you know?
Yeah.
He knows what I'm talking about, like a vampire. Matter of fact, they started calling me. In New Delano, James, I always wanted long hair. So in New Delano, I grew it out from 2008 to 2010. January 1st to January 1st. And at that point, when it was long, they would say I look like Messi with his little curly hair. But I had my goatee out, and it's like reddish. Like my mustache is like, it's not black. It's like a reddish color, right? Like Spain, got that Spain blood. And my hair, too. So they will be like, this fool looks like Dracula. This fool looks like a vampire, you know? And I'll be like, because it was all pale and with the hair, you know? But yeah, that pale skin is there.
Yeah, that's right. Especially on those level 4 yards, right? You don't get any. You don't get
Yeah. Well. Now you do. Now you can't buy a lockdown. You know, you cannot buy one. But before they were handing them out like crazy.
And Amy just dropped a question right now. She wants to know medically, how are you doing? Have you had many issues with your medical?
Yeah, like I don't want to leave nothing out, right? So I'll say this, my ribs, like I never went to medical to fix them, but I believe they were broken, James. Yeah, I believe they were broken. I could move them, and it was very hard to breathe for a couple months, like for sure weeks, right? It was hard to breathe. I used the restroom. I felt like I had to not number 2 but number 1, right? I felt like I had to do a number 1 at that time, and I went to the restroom, and nothing came out, and I thought I did, and I was like, oh my God, these fools messed me up, you know. And then later on, when I finally did use the restroom, it was all red, like I left the restroom bloody, right? I had a double eye surgery. But aside from healthy, nah, my heart's good, my lungs are good, my kidneys good. Like I'm in good health, you know. But those are times where you feel what those cop boots feel like, you know.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
And then she also asked,
hello,
obtaining truthful medical reports.
What's that? I don't even understand the question.
So
it sounded like I was on the stand. Sounded like I was at court right now. I was like, huh?
So I guess
James, technical difficulties. I can't hear you. You know.
So I guess it was a 2-part question.
Yeah.
So what she's asking
okay.
is, have you ever asked for any of your medical records? Like, do they embellish on them, or do they Maybe because the doctors or the nurses are trying to charge the state more for your medical needs, and are your medical reports not correct?
Dang, she hit a topic right there, boy. I never even thought about that, James. Like, so they could swindle more money, basically, right?
Yeah. So they could overcharge. 'Cause, I mean, that's a big thing out here, on the street, when it comes to pharmacies, hospitals, and whatnot. So I could just imagine, in a prison where you
In
pretty much
here.
you got a blank check, so you could
Yeah.
charge out for all kinds of bogus procedures, dental. And
Yeah.
operation. Hey, maybe
Yeah.
even now they're offering the sex changes. So you never know.
Absolutely, man. You know what? I'm gonna talk to our medical people and see what we could hook up, because I got all kinds of clients for them now. But I don't know. I don't know, bro. I never looked at my records like that. I mean, they take blood here and there, and they gave us they give everybody, well, they try to give everybody, the hepatitis C is the one you get with the drugs, right? But they try to give everybody hepatitis B shot, right? They used to give us tuberculosis shots. They give us COVID vaccines. Those are kind of the things that are general for everybody, right? But aside from that, I don't know, man. They sure as hell didn't log in these broken ribs and all that. Oh, my collarbone, James, it's you could physically look at it like everything healed wrong, It's not that bad. I don't want to say I look all crazy, because I don't, but if I point it out, people are going to be like, dang, bro, But yeah, definitely had a dance with them, with these guys in here before.
So it's safe to say that, like, a lot of these injuries that you got while in prison, it's equivalent to something that somebody would get, if they've been in a car accident, right?
I never looked at it like that, but yeah, you're right.
Sorry about that. My wife just
it's okay.
barged in, and she's over here checking me over here, because she just handed me a plate of food, and I kind of grabbed it, and then, so if anybody's wondering, what was that in the background, that was my wife checking me, because I looked at the food like, what are you handing me over here?
James, happy wife, happy life, bro. We're always wrong. Just get it in your head right now,
I feel like she was about to stab me right now. Like, you want it or not? Like, here, I'll take it. Here, no, I'm about to start eating it right now.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah, and most of my injuries come from one incident too. Like, it's not like I was in the ringer all over the place. It's just like a one-time shot,
Okay. All right, Joe. Well, I know you got some pending things, so I don't want you to be rushing and whatnot, or possibly miss out on whatever appointments you got going on. I want to go thank you, for calling in and spending these last, I think, almost 2 hours with us, and sharing your journey with us. Definitely, looking forward for your next chapter in your journey, and
man.
And you mentioned a little bit earlier that you're missing out on a lot of details, from your journey, and that and you mentioned a book. So, hey, I'm not sure if you're good at writing or whatnot, but man, it's definitely a good way, to get, the audience captivated, missing out a lot of parts of your story. And then, man, you could drop a book on us, and man, you're definitely going to have a huge fan base.
Yeah, no, I did write a book, but it's not nothing to do with my story life. Yeah, and I honestly, I don't think I'll write one like that, because little things I can share, I'll share them, but there's, I don't know. I've thought about it briefly, but I never thought about it like all the way, But I do want to say shout out to ICEMAN, man. I worked on my legs the other day. And from the knees to the hips, everything is, I can't even stand up right or do nothing right now. So shout out to ICEMAN for being in the gym. It got me motivated a little bit. Shout out to Amy and Young Gyro for stepping in.
Yeah, that's right. I shout out to everybody that's listening. And with that being said, life's like a
Vince Moreno. Vince Moreno. Shout out to him too. Life's like a candle. Take it over, James.
life's like a candle. Once you blow it, it's lights out.
Lights out. Okay, I'm gone. Bye, people.
Hey,
go Cowboys.
I'm gonna cut the stream, and then we still got a few more minutes, and we'll talk. We'll conversate briefly, and then you could go ahead and about your day.
Okay.